Okay, so good morning, everybody. I'm very happy to be here. I'm Katia from Italy, from Parco Natura Viva, and I will talk about our participation to the Silent Forest campaign with our initiatives, and in particular, our escape room, Silent Forest escape room. Okay. Okay, what's the problem?
It is that you're turning left.
Oh, perfect. Thank you very much. So, during the last year, we hosted the first couple of Bali myna in our zoo, one of the most representative species of the Asian songbirds, and a new enclosure was achieved for them. Outside of this enclosure, a lot of colored and decorated cages for birds were placed, and also educational panel about the campaign, of course. Moreover, near the exhibit were hung up a lot of cages sited by environmental Italian police from people who catch and use decoy birds for illegal hunting. We organized some different weekend-long fundraising events to sustain the campaign. For example, children did some creative activities such as painting songbirds using templates on a musical score in the middle, and they built some bird marks using recyclable materials. Moreover, we engage people in a game. The participants should open a cage containing some stuffed birds to release them. To do this, they should find a way to discover the number combination that opened the cage's padlock. To obtain the correct number, they should solve some quiz or games on panels placed near the enclosure of some birds along the zoo. In one picture, you can recognize perhaps Simon Bruslen, our guest, in many activities and one of the coordinators of the campaign. However, our most, we hope, interesting activity and original activity, it was Silent Forest escape room. Have you ever played this game? Some of you? Yeah, okay, wonderful. You can come to our park to try our escape room. It's a logic game during which participants are locked inside the room, and their aim is to find a way to come out of the room. To do this, they solved some riddles and run their mission. In this way, it's possible to stimulate logic mind and team building. The participant of our Silent Forest escape room imagined to be a member of an international secret organization that protected animals, and the room represented one of secret hiding places of Mr. Poach, a suspected criminal poachers. Their mission was to find inside the room evidence of guilt of Mr. Poach, the false identity that he was using in that moment, and also to find out in which country he was hidden. To achieve this goal, they had maximum 30 minutes, during which they tried to find clues hidden in the room, connecting information that they found and working together. They were supposed to obtain new information to continue the game. One member of our staff stayed inside the room with participants that they could ask for help maximum 3 times. To reach the 3 aims of the game, they should follow some different throw processes. First of all, we placed a vase with water and some plants on a chest of drawers. This one. The second drawer was open. It contained some tests to analyze water and paper with some chemical formulas. In another drawer there were a form to help participants in the interpretation of the test, water test. And the first drawer was closed with a padlock with a symbol of water, and it contained a list of birds with a CITES certificate. Therefore, participants realized to do the test using water contained in the vase, analyzing the values corresponding to chemical formulas written in the paper. They obtained the number of numbers code to open the padlock on the first drawers, and they find the list. Counting the bird in the room, they should understand that some of them were kept illegally because they don't have the CITES certificates. This one represents the first evidence of guilt of Mr. Poach. The fourth drawer of the same furniture was open, and it contained a piece of paper with a nursery rhyme. It was a clue to focus their attention to birds and light. In fact, searching in the room, they found a UV lamp, while on the wall there were 3 photos of Asian songbirds. Lighting them with UV lamp, they found the number code to open the padlock of the third drawer. Here, they found a list with different false identities of Mr. Poach. Comparing them with some passport, they could understand his current identity and where he was hidden. These are only some examples to explain how the escape room worked. There wasn't correct order to solve riddles. Every participant could reflect and discuss with other to connect infos and take advantage from the way of thinking of the other. And at the end of the game, every participant received a certificate and a sheet that explained the main issues of the Silent Forest campaign. And we think that this was a very funny way to talk about the campaign, and certainly we will propose it also in the future. And if you come to our zoo, try it. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Katia. Very interesting how you worked with Silent Forest campaign. How many were involved in this campaign in your zoo? Hand up. Not that many. Okay, thank you very much. That was the first presentation. Now it's your turn. Sorry for my little bit confusion in the beginning. Tatiana, I guess you're also going to talk about the campaign.
Yes, yes.
And some more information. This means stop.
Last one, okay.
And this means?
The previous one.
3 minutes.
Okay, I'll try. Dear colleagues, me and my colleagues from Moscow Zoo, we want to present you the most interesting and memorable events organized in Moscow Zoo in 2018 in frame of the campaign Silent Forest. Not to be too slow, I'm going to read, sorry. First of all, we have to say about the thematic days. Oops. Thank you. Have to say about thematic days dedicated to the campaign. We have several events during the summer when our visitors get acquainted with the flagship species of campaign, Songbirds Crisis, took part in the workshops and made the birds' masks. In games, children and adults learn to recognize the birds' voices, to distinguish the voices in Asian songbirds from the voices our native species. Took part in quests and guests and quests around the territory. Birds' Day. Birds' Day, our zoo traditional spring festival. This day, our visitors usually participate in various activities, lectures, excursions, bird watching classes, making birds' houses, etc., etc. But this year, we had 2 days festival. The second day was held in the memorial estate of the well-known Russian writer, Leo Tolstoy. The estate situated in the center of Moscow. Tolstoy was also known as the expert of national tradition. That's why we decided to dedicate our second day with accent to the birds in a national tradition. Besides the zoo education activities in the program of the event, there was the participation of the children's folk. Sorry. A little bit Russian. Besides the zoo education activities in the program, the event, there was a presentation of the children's folk group. They demonstrated traditional dances, games, and songs with different birds as main characters. After that, 2 workshops were held, bird on origami technique and on traditional Russian technique, making birds from the dough. The event aroused great interest among the local people. When we will come back to Moscow after the conference, we promise we will repeat the event again. And one more interesting event. We have summer ecological children's camp in our zoo. So last year, 2 sessions of the summer camp were also dedicated to the campaign. A special program was prepared to create an interactive presentation. We used the materials from the info pack of the campaign. During this presentation about songbirds, crisis, children got acquainted with diversity of local songbirds, learned to recognize them by voice, learn how to each of us can help to preserve birds. Also, children learned about the features of feeding and keeping rare Asian birds, and then, under the guidance of our keepers, they prepared food for the birds kept in the zoo. The main event of each camp session was the theatrical performance. In the beginning, zoo educators helped children to write a play. After that, numerous of creative workshops, because each theater should have theatrical settings and costumes. During the first one, children created 3D models of flagship species of campaign, developed by our artist. That's what we did. I'll show you. First 3 birds and no more, 3 birds. And these are models on scene. It looked like something like that. After that, kids prepared elements of costumes. There were hats in the form of birds' masks. Our artists have prepared examples of masks for all 6 species. You can look at them. I think they're ready to fly and very recognizable, isn't it? Yes. And finally, the performance. This is a story of a beautiful forest filled with bird voices, but suddenly poachers appear. They catch all the birds and it becomes quiet. But 2 young biologists want to help the forest. They ask, of course, help from EAZA, because they heard something about campaign and breeding programs. And of course, EAZA helped to take first the forest under protection, and the second starts educational program among the local people, and of course return rare birds. The forest is again filled with voices, and all it's forest under protection, and forest again filled with voices. After first camp session, the performance was presented for parents at zoo visitors by children together with professional actors you saw in previous photo. But during the second session with a new group of kids, the second group presented by themselves without actors. That's why we call our message Silent Forest Burst into Song in Moscow Zoo. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tatiana. It's interesting to see how different you can work on this campaign. Is there anyone who has done something similar to that? No one? We haven't done that either. So, okay, the third speaker of the day is Marija. Hi. How is it going with your campaign in your zoo?
What?
Good, thank you. You're going to talk about Hall of Silence.
Yes.
Not Hall of Fame.
No,
Okay.
Hall of Silence, yeah. So hello everyone, my name is Marija, and since my mentor is Tomislav, it's going to be hard, but I will try to be short. So we did a lot of interesting things within the campaign. We organized a lot of events, workshops. We even collected donations to buy binoculars that we will send there. We were connected with one of our celebrities that has her own souvenirs. So we organized the sale of the souvenir in our souvenir shop. And every souvenir is in the shape of an angel, since angel is symbol of a guardian. That's how we connected to the story of the campaign. We also organized school projects, and one of the projects was Hall of Silence competition. Since we are collaborating with one of the children's magazine, which is really popular in Zagreb and Croatia, and it's available in schools, we decided that it's a good way, a good channel to present the competition. And our targets were primary schools. We set some ground rules for the schools. For example, the team should be built up from 32 members, and it could be anyone in the school, students, school staff, teachers, janitors, anyone who wants to be a part of the campaign. Of course, we had a special prizes for first 3 places, and the winner school was able to present their project within our zoo on a special day. It's a Zagreb Zoo Day, our birthday, so it's kind of a big thing. So we also had to put some tasks for project. They had to use some school space. It could be anything within the school, a garden, a hall, a corridor, a classroom, whatever they like, and they were supposed to present their voice against the silence in the forest. So we gave them a freedom to do anything they wanted, but they need to use at least 3 different fields, for example, music, art, and science, or something else. So the winner school was primary school Dobriša Cesarić, and within the school there are different types of groups: ecological group, art and music group, school choir, and some individual students with some special talents. So every member was collaborating to make some kind of activity or task, and they did a lot of stuff, and that's why they are the winner school. For example, some of them were writing messages for the people who come to school, but for everyone else, for visitors that will come to our zoo, how to protect the birds, how to help them, how to get involved. Some of them were storytelling. They used one of the Hans Christian Andersen story, which is related to the birds. Some of them were singing, playing musical instruments, as you can see on the picture. They especially decorated the space. Everything was handmade. The children made everything that was in the hall. They even made human billboards, and every billboard was about one of the species from the campaign. So they were presenting it to their colleagues and to our visitors. And in the end, they also made a video material that I will show you later. That's a summary of everything that they have done within the project. So here you can see, for example, decorations, and also between the classes, in the breaks, all other students could come to the hall, listen to their colleagues singing or playing instrument, read the message, write down the message. So technically, the whole school was involved in the project, and that was our goal, to get as much as school as possible to involve and a lot of children to be able to do something within the campaign. So here's the video. It's a little bit long, 2 minutes and 20 seconds, I think. And it's on Croatian, but I think that you will understand. If something is not understandable for you, you can ask me later so I can explain what's going on.
Svima je poznato da je u Kini car Kinez, a svi su oko njega također Kinezi. Ova je priča stara mnogo godina, ali baš zato je treba poslušati.
Predstavljam vrapca. On je ptica stanarica i živi često u gradu. Lježe 3 do 6 jaja, hrani se otpacima hrane i pupovima. Gnjezdi se od 4. do 8. mjeseca.
Ja predstavljam gaca. To je ptica koja se iselila iz istočne u srednju Hrvatsku. I ova tu ptica živi u jatijama i hrani se beskralježnicima i snese od 4 do 6 jaja.
Zaštitimo naše ptice!
So thank you for your attention and silence during my presentation, but I'm sure that you will all agree that in this case, a silent forest campaign, silence is not an option. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marija. It's always nice to see a video. Don't you agree with me? Okay, now it's time for Lucia. Finally. And Barbara, where are you? There. Good.
Okay, hi, good morning. My name is Barbara, and me and Lucia, we are part of the campaign, Silent Forest campaign team, and we both are mainly responsible for marketing and educational issues. Yeah. When we started with the campaign, we had our own secret dream and wish, and it was to motivate at least 150 or 180 participants to join us. And after a year and a half, look at it, we are 239 participants together from 31 countries, which is amazing, and we are really thankful for this great support from you. At the beginning, we also carefully selected 6 pre-selected projects that we would like to implement within the campaign in Indonesia. And to achieve this, we needed at least 240,000 euros. And Now, thanks to your great contribution and amazing fundraising activities, we have managed to collect more than 30,000 euros, and another 70,000 were donated directly to the pre-selected projects by the zoo, so which is great. It's really a huge amount that can make a difference in Indonesia. As one of the fundraising tools, we also designed our own unique merchandise. And everyone who buys a tin cup, plush toy, or a t-shirt, or the bag directly contributes to the campaign. And until now, I got more than 10 orders from all around the world, which makes more than 30,000 euros as a profit to the campaign, so which is great, and thank you for that. And if any of you is interested in our products, I left the merchandise catalog on the table at the coffee break area, so you can have a look and write me an email if you are interested in. In Zoo Liberec, where I work, we don't have all 6 flagship species of songbirds, but we wanted to show them and present them all to our visitors. So we created our unique bird clock, and every hour, all 6 birds in the size like this come out of the window and sing their bird melody as they are in the forest. And below the bird clock, there is a special vending machine selling commemorative coins. And all visitors watching the bird clock can buy the special coin and support the campaign as well. And these vending machines were installed not only in Zoo Liberec, but also in other 10 zoos in Czech, Slovak, and Polish. And it helped us to collect more than 2,000 euros for the campaign as well. But many more ideas and exhibitions and activities were implemented in the whole Europe, and Lucia will tell you more about them.
Oh, yeah. Yes, when we started the campaign in September 2017, we supposed we needed to work hard to inspire people for Asian songbirds. But now, 1.5 years later, we are very happy to have received such a great support. After launching the campaign, the more and more exhibitions were built up. The first one, to our knowledge, was mounted in Zoo Neuwied in Germany. Little by little, more were added all over Europe, some with low cost but great ideas, a panel and a donation box. Others are doing a lot of effort to create an elaborated exhibition. Both are good. We are grateful for any place that draws attention to the campaign. And I am really surprised that still more exhibitions arise, like one in Erfurt, in Nordbjerg, and in Allwetter Zoo Münster. And by the way, in Nordbjerg, they had a nice idea to get cages for their exhibition. They asked via Facebook and local newspapers the people to donate old cages. With a big success, more than 120 cages were donated. For more information about this idea, ask Christian. He is here in the audience. Christian, give a wave. Perhaps you have too many cages and you can give some away. During the last conference in Paris, many educators looked critically at the fact that one main aim of the campaign was to collect money. Viewing back on the last year, the first season of the campaign, I must say I'm stunned by so many creative ideas for fundraising and for activities. I would like to give you some examples. Perhaps they will inspire you for your upcoming season and your upcoming activity days. This was Allwetter Zoo Münster. It's worth to be seen. Sorry, clicked one less. In Lisbon, Zoo they challenged art students to design ways on how to raise awareness for the campaign. They produced great results, and on the top, beautiful serigraphs of Silent Forest campaign flagship species whose sale will revert to the campaign. Wilhelma Zoo in Stuttgart, Germany collected 2,500 euro by a silent forest lottery. And currently they are selling a very delicious, fair trade and palm oil-free chocolate. The profits go to that conservation project that is depicted on the packaging. You can see this is the silent forest chocolate. And Heidelberg Zoo produced a huge panel with an Asian songbird forest. They sold stickers with drawings of the flagship birds. The visitors could buy the stickers and stick it on the panel. More and more birds will populate the empty forest. And the bird enthusiasts, Dennis Appels and Joost Lammers from Birdpark Avifauna in the Netherlands started a crazy fundraising via sponsor race. They collected more than 1,000 euro during a very hard one-day cycling race in the Vosges Hills in France. Very great action, but not useful for everyone here, perhaps. In Koln Zoo, during the Songbird Activity Day, there was a charity event of tattoo artists. 4 studios came to the zoo to do live tattooing of songbird motifs. All revenues were donated, contributing to the campaign. Totally, it was 4,750 euro. And for this current season, we will have an activity day in May. One of these tattoo artists sold 2 so-called wannadoos on Facebook by auction, and I just got the result. It's 1,040 euro for these 2 tattoos we will get for the campaign. It's great. And one crazy idea, at Blackpool Zoo, they will have a public shaving for songbirds. Why that? No feathers to see. And in Zoo Saarbrücken, they will have a songbird activity day on Easter Sunday, and they will sell songbird-colored cocktails. We will see what this will bring. And we just have seen some activities during activity days. Yes, I can show you some examples too. Drawing competitions. You can have tables where children can paint birds or color sheets with birds. You can make this empty forests and fulfill it with birds, drawing birds. And you can handicraft masks like these. You can face paint. You can play theater, or you can sing together. Or you just can try to get in touch with the visitors to talk about songbird crisis. What we like you to do during the last months of the campaign, this will Barbara introduce to you.
Many of you also helped us with collecting binoculars. It's great, and until now we collected 125 binoculars, which were sent already to Indonesia, and they are being used in local educational program, and as a proof they are really used there. You can watch the video.
You have to click once.
Do I have to?
Yeah, once again.
Okay.
We at greenbooks.org joined forces to tackle this crisis.
We facilitated 150 families from 3 communities in East Java to see the birds in nature, to promote bird watching, and to explain how birds belong in the wild, not in captivity. Every family was given the opportunity to have 3 trips to experience the nature. With binoculars and bird-watching guidebooks, they learned how to enjoy the beauty of birds in their natural environment.
Terus masyarakat bisa tahu bahwa lingkungan itu juga mempunyai kehidupan. Terus burung juga hidup, nggak boleh dikerangkeng atau ditembak atau dibunuh. Itu kan sebenarnya nggak boleh karena burung juga mempunyai mempunyai hak untuk bebas. Itu bangga dan begitu senang gitu. Karena saya baru awal menggunakan binokuler gitu. Teropong itu menurut saya itu adalah kecanggihan teknologi yang sangat indah gitu ya.
Ya, saya mau bikin pengamatan burung dan mengajak siswa-siswa yang lain untuk membuat organisasi tersebut.
Program ini saya rasa sangat harus diteruskan dan dikembangkan lagi.
Okay, and more binoculars are still needed, so please, you are welcome if you collect more, and it will be our pleasure to provide them to the Indonesian children. And at the end, I would like to present you the singing competition for children and school that we launched in Czech Republic. The task for the children was to study information about the campaign, write their own lyrics, use the melody composed in Zoochester, then sing a song, record a video, and send it to us. Not easy, right? But look what happened. I'll show you the short compilation of all competitors, and yeah, click again. No. Yes, and it's a pity that most of you don't understand Czech language because the lyrics are amazing.
Blackwing starling, we want to hear you sing, singing for songbirds with all the boys and girls.
Krásné lesy, jen z rajské zahrady slyším ptačí zpěv. Letí s námi krásná to nádhera, ráno i za včera, tak zpěvá ráj. Majna, kráska, šáma a sojkovec, bulbul a loskutár velký. Tátu zpěv a křídel šumění, naprav promění všechny trampoty. Jen si zpívám, zpívání léčí, jen jako ptáci, tak to neumí. Letáček, loskotáček, ten si zpívá, ty dá. Vždycky jsem chtěl mít vítr v křídle, na všechno výjde, noc svítem dál, na všechno známý, všecka něco zdáví, kam to jen odchází, sladká vost má. Kam to jen odchází, sladká vost má.
Thank you. And we would like to really encourage you to launch the singing competition in your country as well. And at the end of the campaign, we could have the video like not only Czech children singing to save Asian songbird, but the whole Europe is singing to save Asian songbirds. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barbara and Lucia. What an amazing project you have about this campaign, Silent for. I guess you're still working with this campaign, aren't you? Hopefully you're never ending. Never. Because you have collected a lot of money. A lot. Do you know how much it was? How much was it in total? 400 euros. I think it's worth an applause, isn't it? Thank you very much. Well, stay on the stage, because now it's time for questions. So also, Katia, Tatiana, and Marija, welcome up on stage. Now it's time for questions. And the first question comes from totally clear everything. I'm sorry, but it's no questions. Okay. Totally clear everything, as I said. Thank you very much. Okay, a short break for 1 minute. Stand up and move around. 1 minute. You can stand up, not move around.
So, the 1 minute is up. So please be seated again, and we will continue. So, it's time for the next part of this conference, and thinking forward for sustainable future, which is really interesting to hear about. And we have five different speakers here, and then we have some questions, and then Sarah Thomas will take over and talk about the open space session. But first is Suzanne. Welcome up. There you go. So, please.
Good morning, everyone. Maybe we should get the moose ready, because I'm Scottish, so we tend to speak quite quickly, so I'll try and stay slow. I am an educator, not a zoologist, and I've worked in colleges and universities for a long time, where I've always worked with learners who I could evaluate over a number of years. So it was very difficult for me coming into a zoo environment where we only see the learners for maybe 2 hours and maybe only see them once. So the big question for me was, how do we actually evaluate the impact of what we're doing? We started a partnership with our local primary school to try and answer this question. Kerstorfen Primary is about 15 minutes walk from the zoo, so the children can walk in, and they have about 650 pupils, so quite a big school. The period of the project is undefined at the moment, but we hope that it will run for at least 5 to 10 years. So we started with a big launch, a zoo week, so 5 days of activities all focused around the zoo, and that was with input from our zoo educators in Edinburgh, so they went down to the school, and also activities which had been made by the school teachers themselves. It culminated in the final day, which is the top picture, where all the children dressed up as animals and spelled out the word zoo in their playground. And that was a really nice day, a really fun day for them to finish the week. Since then, they've had free access to the zoo, so they can come in and work on a number of different projects with us. We've been working on things such as nursery programs, arts programs, maths programs, and we've also set up a new unique program looking at disengaged children. So for those who just don't thrive in a classroom environment, we bring them into the zoo and work with them in nature. The most important thing was to try and capture at the very beginning some of the information we wanted to find out about these children. So we began with the younger children. We asked them to draw pictures of what a zoo looks like and asked them very simple questions that they could reply with one-word answers. And with the older children, we asked them to complete a short questionnaire. And some of the things we were trying to find out were what they knew about conservation wildlife, what they knew about science, and also some information about their potential future interest in science careers. It was really important to also engage with the staff and the parents, because we wanted to involve them in the whole process, and we wanted to make sure that we got support for the project. So of the pictures that the younger children did, we've analysed 138, And we wanted to try and get a feel for what they thought about zoos. So we looked at how many animals were in the pictures. So there was 106 animals in the pictures overall, or there was 106 that had animals in them, sorry. And there was only about 20 that showed any connection. So we were able to identify that maybe they didn't know about animals that come from the same habitats or animals that are kind of in the food chain together. There was a definite split. There was about 50% of the pictures that showed animals just from Edinburgh Zoo, with a preference for lions, tigers, penguins, and undefined monkeys. And in terms of their knowledge of animal care and the kind of things that need to be in an enclosure, there was only 10% of the drawings had any kind of food in for the animals. And we also wanted to find out a bit more about their visit experience. So we looked at whether there was any people in the pictures, and when there were people, there was only about 30 that had drawn any people in the pictures, and mostly that was family. It wasn't like a keeper or anybody professional that we could identify. For the older children, we asked them to answer some questions. So we had a questionnaire, and 208 responded to that. We looked particularly at their kind of career goals for the future. We saw some correlation between those who had visited multiple times with a likelihood of going into a more science-based career, although to be perfectly honest, most of them want to be YouTubers. And then we also asked them how they would describe a zoo to a person who's never been before. There was only 2 negative comments out of 208, so that was a good starting point. And some of the lovely words that came out were things like amazing, big, cool, learn facts, fun, kind, hilly, which isn't surprising for Edinburgh, also smelly. We asked them about what you can learn in zoos. They said it was where you got facts about zoos. We asked them why zoos were important, and they said it was where we look after animals and they can learn about them. And we also asked about sort of current behaviour. So some of them talked about the fact that you shouldn't litter at all and that we need to recycle more. But rather worryingly, less than 30% of them said that they were outdoors every day, and only about 25% said that they were rarely outdoors. So again, kind of worrying for us that we need to work on that with them. There was some lovely quotes gathered over the weeks. My favourite one, I think, is my daughter has acquired an environmental conscience thanks to Zoo Week. If we can do that for everyone, then I think we're winning. But there was a nice sense of feedback from the teachers that it was a big community project, and the pupils kind of gave comments about how zoos and animals and wildlife and conservation can be used in any different area. So they learned languages, they used it for construction, and also it told us things about what they were learning when we were in. So conversations about the fact that they think people are crazy because they make furniture out of animals. So lots of information for us to work on in terms of what we can give back to the children. There was lots of comments about why can't we feed the animals. So obviously we need to do some work there to explain why. But when we went in and did focus groups a few weeks afterwards, there was some really nice use of words such as carnivores, species, habitat, and endangered, which we don't know if would have been there before, but we hope that we're having that kind of impact changing. And also there was an increased interest in wildlife and some activities that they were doing more in nature after we'd been involved. There's still lots to be done. I think my personal feeling is that it's very difficult to evaluate impact in one visit. So we're looking at doing multiple visits, whether it's 3 contact points, so avoiding just single visits from school children, looking at whether we can do a virtual trip, an outreach session where we go into schools and they visit the zoo. But obviously there's issues with cost there. If you bring 30,000 children in a year and then suddenly you decide you're only going to bring those 10,000 children in 3 times, then there's a loss to the zoo. So there's issues around that. And alternatively, we want to look at whether we can bring them in the morning, have a chat, set them a challenge, and bring them back in the afternoon. But again, issues with timing. Our schools don't normally arrive until about 10 o'clock, 10:30, and they often have to leave around 2. We've got lots of plans for the future in terms of re-evaluating at least every year and trying to work out how we track these children through the whole of their primary school and into secondary school, and look for then the ultimate the kind of optimum point of engagement. So when do you start talking to children about conservation and wildlife? Is it nursery? Is it when they're 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? So finally, is it working? Well, I hope so. We feel like we're more embedded in the community. The school feels like that. We have a great relationship with the staff and with the parents, so we're getting great feedback in terms of what we can do to support them more. But we have got huge amounts of data, and it's certainly raising the issue that in terms of a dedicated evaluation officer, it's something that we'd love to have at Edinburgh. And to be honest, it's very difficult to tell you much at the moment because we're only in our first year. So maybe 10 years from now, maybe we'll all be in Edinburgh, I can tell you kind of what the story is, but it's still a long way away. And I think for me, the final point to leave you with is just to say that I think we should always challenge the preconceptions that we have about conservation education. We shouldn't be scared to challenge where we deliver it, what we deliver it, how we deliver, and to commit to long-term evaluation.
Thank you, Suzanne. And I think we will get some questions a little bit later. And now it's time for Shai, that will tell us about the commitment wall.
Good morning. Thank you very much for the hosts. It's a great conference so far. My name is Shai. I'm from the Israel Aquarium, the Gottesman family Israel Aquarium in Jerusalem. And it's part of the Biblical Zoo, or the Tisch family zoological gardens in Jerusalem. It's a long names. So I will talk to you about the committing people to action. It's something that we built with building the aquarium. I will talk a bit about building the aquarium. So Israel's first aquarium was opened in September 2017 after a long process of planning and construction. The aquarium is part of the well-established Tisch family zoological gardens in Jerusalem, also known as the Biblical Zoo. You can see 2 pictures. The team that built the aquarium is a big team, but the education part was 3 people. The zoologist, Noam Werner, he's also the curator. The development director, Nicole, she was the visitor perspective, and I'm the educator. The idea is to build it in the expansion land of the zoo. It's part of Israel National Biodiversity Plan that recommended to build an aquarium that deals with the Mediterranean Sea. Usually people talk about the Red Sea, which is very rich, coral reefs. The planning process took a long time. We had 2 conferences and a tour of Europe and America. The initial idea was See Israel, but we changed it later. It was 5 years of building. And as you can see, right before we opened, it looked like that, and then today it looks like that. It was a very interesting open ceremony, and now the aquarium is running for 1.5 years almost. So creating an education plan to the new aquarium was a very interesting thing. Not always you get the chance to create something from scratch from the beginning. So what we did is we created this outline that helped us be focused. It's 3 columns, and it shows what we want to say, what is the exhibit, and also all kinds of ideas that we want to implement in the aquarium. So you can see another page. Later on, we added another column that gives you how many panels or signs. So this is the aquarium. And we had so many ideas and so many things or themes to talk about. You can see some of them here. And in the end, the exhibits look like that. This is how science species look like. We have 3 languages, Arabic, Hebrew, and English. So it was a very hard thing to put them all in one sign. We are also connected to the Biblical Zoo, and so we have some biblical themes. For example, the dugong that is mentioned in the Bible. We of course talk about plastic in the ocean. It's a very something that everybody talks about right now. Threats to the coral reefs, and positive conservation, which is something that we want people to know that there are success and where we want to see ourselves in the future. So we gave a few examples from different zoos around the world. use of technology. So that we used a bit of technology because our former director say that it interferes with the general experience of families when they go to the aquarium or to the zoo. So, but we did use a few things like touchscreens, a film about the Suez Canal, dynamic map, and the commitment wall that I will show you in a second. This is how the touchscreens look like. In big aquariums, when there's many species, it's not nice to put a lot of signs, so we had this touchscreens. This is the map. You can see the currents, the first one, and then the coral reefs of the world. And now I will talk a bit about the commitment wall, and that's the idea. So this is the hall that we call it the commitment hall. You can see that the donor wall is on the left. It's a very, unlike the whole aquarium, which is very dark, this has a lot of light in it. So we want to end with a good way. You can see here that we created a few things that people can commit to. The initial idea was to have 10 commandments, like the 10 commandments. As I said, we are from the biblical zoo. But at the end, we decided on 7 things. You can see that, but we understand that people don't really read signs most of the time, although I do see people read the signs. So we created something more interactive. So you can see that down there we have tablets that people can bring in, put in things. And then we have the pictures of the people. Now the idea is that people, I will show you in a second how it works, but people can see themselves on the screen. They get their picture to their email, and then they commit to certain things. And as you can see, there's a counter on the top showing how many people commit so far. So you can see that people really like it. It's an activity that people really enjoy. I think it's a movie. How do you? Oh, this one is the movie, sorry. So as you can see, this is the tablet. We have 3 languages. It doesn't work? Lovely. Oh, well, it happens. It's okay. So I will tell you what it is. So you go in, you put your name and your email. The idea is that we will have emails of people, and then we can create some kind of community, an active community that can work together. Every now and then we send them emails. I will show you how it looks like, how the email looks like. And the idea is that we give them a chance to be active. We send them things about the aquarium, but also about how we can collect things and how we can do other things. So after they commit, they take a picture. The picture goes up on the screen, and every time there's more than 100 photographs on the screen, people love it. One thing that we had to make sure is that people cannot go forward if they don't put their email on, and that kids cannot change the languages because they like to play with the tablets. So all of a sudden I saw Japanese and other languages that we don't have. This is how an email look like. And as I said, I'm almost done, so there it is. So thank you for listening. This is my email. Feel free, and have a nice day.
Thank you, Shai. So next one up is Louise. Yes, that we have been working with the Sustainable Development Goals.
Exactly, yeah. Yes, hello, my name is Louise. I'm from Copenhagen Zoo, and I would like to give you some if we get up here. Yes, some inspiration about creating coherence between the SDGs. I have to take this one. Yes. So in Copenhagen Zoo, we're working with the SDGs in all age group of the primary school. And equal for all of them is that we make a coherence between the SDGs and visualize it, and visualize that you cannot get in goal with just one of them, but they work in a coherence. And equal for them is as well that we use specific case examples, which is highlighting some actions, and it's some actions that all of us can do in our everyday life. And another very important thing is that after the visit, don't go home and are depressed. They should be positively motivated for taking action themselves. So we have made a cooperation with the Copenhagen municipality, and together with them we are offering a session from 4th to 9th grade, where we're focusing on life on land. And as a case example, in the zoo we use the rhinos. It could be any other animals, but we have chosen the rhinos in this case. So the session is divided into two halves. So the first half being in Copenhagen Zoo, looking at global perspective. And then we move to a park just beside the zoo, where the children are together with Copenhagen municipality, where they look at a local perspective. So today I'm going to highlight some actions in the part in the Copenhagen Zoo. So to start with, we create some understanding of the importance of knowledge. And we do this by looking at the rhinos' biology and ecology, and we're looking for tracks in the enclosure, look at dung piles, and we're observing the rhinos and try to find the primary senses and so on. Then we make a short game to create an understanding of the importance of the rhino's horn. And although it's a short game where the students are either a male, a female, or a calf, it works for all age groups. Then we go inside and have the rhinos up close and smell the rhinos quite intensively. And the students are investigating the rhino horn and find out what it's made of. And then we are discussing why the rhino's horn, you could say it's the best but also their worst friend. So why is this? So we try to highlight it by lining up the different rhinos, and then we're pairing up each of the rhinos with the numbers of rhinos left. And then we have a talk about why it is how it is, and what factors is affecting the population size. And the reason for this is that we talk about it's not only poaching, it's a lot of other factors, such as climate change and road buildings and all the stuff you already know. And then we look at the specific case about poaching. So the students now have to discuss how many links they think there are from the rhinos being on the savanna to the rhino horn on the consumer's table. So the students are discussing this, and then afterwards I tell them that I cannot give them the correct answer for this. And this is because it's happening on the black market. And we talk about what is the black market. And then still we line up what the links the students has come up with, and we're lining each of the persons in the line of the poaching process, you could say. And then we talk about the incentive for each of the person in the line. So what is the livelihood of the poacher? Why are the consumer asking for the rhino horn, and so on. And first then we're introducing the SDGs. So the SDGs has not been introduced before now. And that's because now it's work as a tool, you could say, or a help to help the rhinos. So instead of using time to explaining it, now it's self-explanatory because we've been using time on working with the different headlines here along the discussion. So the children are now, or the students are now choosing 5 goals they think is important to work with to help rhinos or the life on land. And this is some of the goals that the students often come up with, and when they're presenting each of the goals, they line the goal to the link of people involved in the poaching process. So in example, we take the poacher, the students are often headlining poverty and hunger and good health and well-being and education, that you should work with those goals to prevent people become poachers or for the poachers to change work. Another very important goal is the responsible consumption and production. And this is a big take-home message in general, because the demand comes from the consumer. And this is no matter if it's a t-shirt or a cookie or it's a rhino horn. And we talk about the students being consumer themselves in their everyday life. We also talk about consumption when we're out traveling, if you want to buy stuff which is made from animals. And the students is highlighting as well that we could also support projects with people already working in rhino conservation, for example. And this is a very good thing because it's important to highlight that there's a lot of things already being done. It's not everything is bad. There is some people out there who's doing something. And we tell them that they themselves have done something today because they have visited Copenhagen Zoo. And in the zoo, we are working with rhino conservation, and we are educating people to become rangers, so potential poachers are actually ending out with being rangers instead. And then finally, we talk about the change of behavior. So it is very difficult, and that's very important to acknowledge that you cannot change everything in a one, but if you do it a short step, everything would add up in the end. So although it's a session from 4th to 9th grade, we use the same frame for all of the groups, and it's because we use dialogue-based education, where the students is liberal differentiation themselves by the discussion. And the teachers tell us that the discussion continues back home in the classroom, but also with the parents in the evening. So in general, this session lines up with our mission, which is stated here in the figure, where the action is motivated by the fundament. And by the fundament, I mean that's the fascination and the encouragement, not the courage, but the curiosity, and so on. And then you have the understanding, which is giving something to act upon. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Louise. So we'll continue, and now it's Anya. Please come.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Anya from Chester Zoo, and I'm going to be talking about our curriculum development project. The aim of the project was to put conservation at the heart of the school curriculum. And in the year before we delivered this project, we worked in a local primary school where the teachers there embedded the theme of the songbird crisis into their curriculum for a period of 6 weeks, across the curriculum, through all subjects. And we went in and delivered outreach workshops, and they brought their pupils to the zoo, where they took part in activities related to Asian songbirds, but they also got to take action for native birds as well. Some of the pupils also developed a project that they took into the community, into a shopping centre, to tell the local community about the crisis as well. So one of the pupils, doing that the right way, that way, put the impact of the project on her very succinctly. This is Willow, she's 9, who said, "People may underestimate us and think that we can't change anything, but we have proved that actually anyone can do anything." So on the back of the success of this project, we launched the Curriculum Development Project. We worked in partnership with the Ignite Teaching School Alliance. The headmaster of the previous primary school is a co-director of this Teaching School Alliance. It's a group of 41 schools all working together in partnership to support each other in producing better outcomes for their pupils. So 32 schools signed up to the Curriculum Development Project, which had 2 very clear parts to it. There was the development phase and the delivery phase. During the development phase, we introduced teachers from the 32 schools to 4 of our conservation campaigns. They also got to attend 10 other sessions, led or co-led by creative practitioners, by delivery experts, by staff from the Teaching School Alliance, with the aim of supporting the schools and the teachers in developing their own project to deliver back at school. The delivery phase of their projects varied in length. It was at the discretion of the head teachers of the schools how long it would take. Some were a week, some were 6 weeks, which is an entire half term. And of course, we did evaluation of the projects in the schools. But not just of the pupils, we undertook evaluation with the staff too. We saw a significant increase in the self-efficacy of teachers in terms of conservation action. We also saw positive changes in attitudes of the teachers too. We particularly like, down at the bottom, I'm not sure if everyone can see, that there was an increase in teachers' recognitions that zoos are providers of education. For the pupils, though, the change that we saw was not as positive. We saw not much change in their view of what they could do for conservation. However, what we did see was a lot of great work coming out of the schools and a lot of action being taken for conservation, which you can see in this video. So moving forward, we are about to enter the delivery phase for the next round of 24 schools, and we're really excited to see what they produce over the coming months. But thank you.
Thank you so much, Anya. And now the last speaker for this session is Elin from Skansen, that we talk about Captain REKO.
Hi everyone, my name is Elin and I work with the domestic animals here at the Skansen Foundation. I'm also involved a lot in the educational work that we do here, and today I'm here to tell you about a project that has me very close at heart. Almost every day now we hear more and more about the climate change, the littering of the environment, and the large amount of food that we throw away, even though there's nothing really wrong with it. In Sweden, for example, every household throws away 100 kilograms of food waste each year. Almost half of it, about 45 kilograms, is food that could have been eaten, but have gone bad or been thrown away for other reasons. Such a waste of water, space, and money to throw away perfectly good food. All the children we talk to about this can see that something's not right. So what does it take to make a change? These thoughts grew to an idea that eventually would become the start of Captain REKO. Captain REKO is a fictional, but to the children very real role model. She travels around the world in a climate-friendly air balloon, guiding people to make wise decisions and educate them about where food comes from, how to store it, and how you can find out if a product is safe to eat, even though it has passed its expiration date. The concept of Captain REKO is a cooperation between the Stockholm Consumer Cooperative Society and the Skansen Foundation that targets 5-year-olds at preschools all around Stockholm. The educators of the preschools can order the Captain REKO game that consists 4 different parts. Each part are based on a discussion, an activity, and a task. For example, checking the temperature inside the refrigerator, or measuring how much food they throw away at lunch. Or, like here, finding out if an item is trash, or if you can make a soup out of it. Once the task is complete, the children receives some pieces of a puzzle. After the 4th task, the puzzle is complete, and the children can read a password that states, "Don't throw away the food." They will also get to know that they will be visiting Captain REKO in person at the headquarters here at Skansen and complete a final task to see with their own eyes where milk, flour, eggs, and ham comes from. The children are always very excited to meet their new hero, and it makes my heart skip a beat every time I see all fish-mouthed, large-eyed children when Captain REKO is making her entrance with a song that says she's been longing to see them and how she wants them to join her in her gang in the mission for a greener future. After the song, the children are divided into groups, led by an educator or a zookeeper working at Skansen. The zookeepers play a very important role in the development of Captain REKO, and they even write the script, choosing what's important to tell about the animals and the products that we can gather from them. They can also tell some fun facts about the animals that the educators might not know. And they make the preparations of the stations that children will visit before and after Captain REKO each day. After the song, the children are divided into these groups, and they will be visiting 4 stations, rehearsing what they've learned in the game. For example, feed the pigs, smell good and bad milk, crack an egg and look at the germinal disc, and grinding wheat into flour. We've just ended our 9th season and 5th year of Captain REKO, and so far we've reached over 15,000 children with this very important knowledge. And what's even more exciting is that the word's been starting to spread. So the older siblings that visited Captain REKO a couple of years ago now have learned their younger siblings, so they already know quite a lot about the concept when they get here. And it's not just the kids that are excited, the educators are too. And they tell us about how important this is and how they will continue this work back at the preschools. The word of Captain REKO and the message is more important now than ever. And we continuously continue to develop the concept. And this year we added recycling as a part of the Captain REKO game, which is a subject that children has shown very strong interest in and want to learn more about. It's an award-winning concept. In the Corporate Engagement Award in 2015, it won the 2nd prize for Best Activity Conditioning Sustainability and Environment, and we are not stopping here. I hope this presentation has given you some inspiration of how we can work together to educate the youngsters in the world, so maybe they can teach us grown-ups to do the right thing back at home. thank you very much for your attention, and I will see you in the afternoon at the reindeer's enclosure. Thank you very much.
Okay, so time for some questions. Can everyone come up? We have Shai and we have Anya, Louise. Let's see. Jag tappade namnet. Suzanne, thanks. So you can have this one. So, questions.
Yes, hello, I'm Marija from Helsinki Zoo, and Louise, I was very impressed about your presentation, and I think your zoo in Copenhagen has done fantastic work. Once again, I'm interested in that, especially with the older students. How do they deliver the message and what they have learned? I mean, do you encourage them to be active in social media? And I have to ask this because now that we are in Sweden, and we all know what, for example, Greta Thunberg has managed to do, like climate strikes. So I'm not looking for anything like that, but something that, what do they do afterwards?
So we don't have, I'm very tall now. We don't have any specific thing they have to come back with, so it's not like they're delivering something back to me afterwards. So we only get the information back from the teacher that they say it, talk about it back home and so on. But the main thing is that we're lining up in the end as well what activities they can actually actively do when they go back home. So, and another important, as I said as well, that it's important to learn that they have already done something, because when you have the discussion with them along the way, you really learn that they are very, very, not, what could you say? It's like a big burden for them. And when we have these discussions, they bring it on. And we also have another session which is about climate change. And that one we could add on. We have made, one of our educators herself have made together with her family 2 things for the climate. So we talk about making that in the end of the session. Then when they come back to the school, they should make a hashtag 2 things for the climate. So they could, yeah.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nomathemba Ndlovu. I'm from South Africa. My question is, how do we bring the parents on board so that they can also send the message of recycling and saving the food that is preached at school?
Can you take the question once more, please?
Yes, please. Oh, okay. May I repeat the question again? I'm saying, how do we as teachers bring the parents on board to help motivate the kids to do the recycling and also to save the food? Because at school we do that.
Yes.
But the parents then, they are reluctant to be on board to send the same message to the kids.
So you're saying that the children is better at recycling than their parents are? Yeah. It's a very difficult question, I think. But our hope with Captain REKO is that we can engage the children so they will telling their parents about it at home, and hopefully the parents wants to make their children happy, so they make an effort to, for example, do recycling or don't throw away that much food, as maybe they would throw away more food if the children hasn't cared about it. And we have to keep in mind that the children will grow up with this knowledge in mind, so that's our mission.
Great, we have more questions here.
One brief question to Louise. How long was the program that you did about the rhinos?
It's 1.5 hours in the zoo with we call it a 10 snack. So at 10 o'clock they have to have something to eat, because otherwise they're just dying off. So around 1 hour or so, and then they go to with the Copenhagen municipality. I don't know if all of you know what a municipality is. I've just learned the word, but it's like Copenhagen city. So they also have a school division in the city hall, you could say. Yeah, so 1 hour or so. Yeah, so it's not that long, so you can do quite a lot of stuff in that time. And that's also very important when it's about that subject, because they get to use a lot of senses and a lot of different sessions along the way, so it's not that steady.
Okay, thank you. And I got a short question to Shai. I can add it on. So, I didn't get how the commitment was documented by the visitors. Can they write on the tablet in words, or can they tick just boxes? From now on, I will do this and this.
That was on the movie. So there's 7 commitments. Starts from really simple things that everybody can do, and finish with people who dive. So there's not that many divers, but still. So those 7 things that everybody can do, and they get it in their email with the picture. So that's how they see it. And we try to remind them every now and then with the email for things that they committed to. For example, there's a beach cleaning in that beach in Tel Aviv if you want to join. Or please sign the petition for reserves, water reserves, marine reserves. So that's how they can continue to remember what we committed about.
Well, we have a lot of questions here, but I think we can have some more, do we? Yeah. So here one.
Just a quick one to Shai, please. I have a question. It's more like a side information you gave, but you mentioned that in your national biodiversity strategy, it's advised to have a zoo or build a zoo, or also include this. And I think that's very important information, because that's great political support for zoos and the amazing jobs you guys do for educating people. And I was wondering if anyone else is aware that in their country they also have this included in a national biodiversity strategy. I'd be most grateful if anybody came up to me and mentioned this. This is really, really good support for the political work that we do as an association, and we'd love to show your national biodiversity to our ministry, actually, in Germany.
I just want to say that because of the work of the zoo that worked for many years, the authorities, the nature authorities, know and feel that the zoo can help. And when we built the aquarium, we built on that thing that we had, the good connections that we had with the authorities. So when they wrote it, they said there's a need for an aquarium, because the Mediterranean, people think about it as something very gray. They want to go to the beach and have fun, but they don't think about it as a place with biodiversity, and that's one thing that they wanted to change.
Thank you. My name is Theophilus van Rensburg-Linster, and I'm part of the team with Nomatemba that is from South Africa. And we are really in education. So there are 4 principles from South Africa. One of the things that's striking to us is that there's a lot of fun going on at the zoos. I mean, it's just, if your whole life was a zoo, it would just be one huge ball game. And I am so concerned about that, because it seems that you all have one thing in common. You bring people into your space that is so rich with pedagogical elements that enhances learning. So I would like to hear from each one of you just a short bit of advice as to what would you encourage schools to be? How different should schooling be if the future is not going to depend just on you having and creating all the fun?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So, very quick answers, or maybe 1 or 2 can answer, and then, sorry, we have to...
I think from our project, one of the key things was getting the teachers on board, and the teachers buying into it. And you saw from our research that actually their knowledge and their action increased, and I think that was a key for us.
I think the problem for schools is that they're tied down in the bureaucracy that we don't have to deal with. You know, we don't have to get them through exams, although we support that. And we're not kind of tied to league tables and things like as we are in Britain. So we have the flexibility to be more fun and not kind of worry about all the serious elements in the same way that teachers are tied to in schools. And I think for me, it's just about supporting teachers to say that we can help, you know, and that we're there to help, and that we can help across the whole curriculum. You know, we're not just there to teach science, we can teach everything in a zoo.
Thank you so much. And if you want to talk more and hear more about all these nice things, so we'll soon have a coffee break. Yeah, but first stand up for 1 minute, move your legs. We have to rearrange some things here for just 1 minute, so don't leave the room. Not quite yet, soon, but stand up for 1 minute and then we will get going again.